Raider Nation, it's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, coming at you with 5 blockbuster trade ideas around the silver and black. Let's face the facts. I feel like everywhere I look right now around the NFL media, it's the Raiders should trade out of the number 1 pick. I ain't going to talk about that today. Also, Maxx Crosby trade this, Maxx Crosby trade that. I feel like in the last 24 to 48 hours, the amount of trade questions that I have been given, it's blowing my mind. So I said, you know what? If people want to talk about trades, let's talk about trades today here on the Raiders Report. We got 10 total draft picks, the number 1 overall pick. Literally needs at literally every single position out there, offense and defense. So I'm going to give you 5 trades that I believe could happen. I also will say this, trades, rumors, they're a lot of fun to be able to talk about. If anybody sees a trade from today's show and you would put it on social media, make sure you tag me at Mitchell Renz 365. My promise is this. If the Raiders end up making a trade, I will be live. And on today's show, I'm going to try to do my best to illustrate why a trade could end up going down. Obviously, this is projections. It's predictions. You don't really know if it ends up going down, but at the same time, there are rumors for a reason. There are tea leaves for a reason. And there are also players that are on the trade block for certain reasons, which is why we decided to make today's show. Let's go to the very first Raiders trade idea that I have, and this involves the silver and black going out and getting a wide receiver 1 from the NFC. So the first trade that I'm going to throw out here is with the Chicago Bears. The Las Vegas Raiders get DJ Moore. Chicago gets a 4th-round pick. For those that do not know, Raiders have 3 fourths. You have at pick 102, pick 117, pick 134. I asked our Chicago Bears host, what does he think exactly it would end up costing to be able to get DJ Moore in a trade? And he said probably a 4th-round pick would be able to get it done. So for the Raiders, you know that you need a wide receiver 1 for Fernando Mendoza. Also, I need somebody that I can depend on. 5 straight years of not missing any games, 4 games missed since 2018 for Moore. The Chicago Bears also have Luther Burden. They have Rome Odunze and Ben Johnson. Their brand new head coach is a lot more, I'd say, tied to those 2 players than he is along the lines of DJ Moore, who's been there for a few seasons. Now, Moore got a start in Carolina. And I don't know exactly how Clint Kubiak would use Moore, but the way that I would use DJ in a Clint-style offense with the Raiders is a little bit of a mesh of the way that they used Cooper Kupp and a little bit of a way that he used Deebo Samuel back when Deebo was with the 49ers when Clint Kubiak was there in 2023. I need somebody that can run the football. I need somebody that is willing to block. I need somebody that can catch and get a lot of yards after the catch to help out my young rookie quarterback and Fernando Mendoza. Do I think DJ Moore is a true wide receiver 1? No, I don't. But I think he's a really good wide receiver 2 that you betcha would be a number 1 on this offense. Let's go to the next trade idea here. And, we're trying to mix and match to the best of our abilities. And I've already shown you so many different Maxx Crosby trades. Here's going to be another one that I'm going to throw in. Because whether we like to face it or not, the number 1 player most likely to get traded from the Raiders is Maxx Crosby. There's 2 reasons behind it. 1, there's trade rumors galore. 2, he's the best player on our team that could actually end up getting dealt. So I've never shown you this team yet around Crosby, but this is what I talked to my Seahawks host here at Chat Sports about, and he thinks that this is a fair deal for both sides. If you did not see the Adam Schefter report, Adam Schefter put out a report on Wednesday, February 18th. Spoiler alert, when I'm recording this video. And Schefter said that the Raiders are looking for 2 first-round picks and a starter. Well, I think this helps you get a linebacker, and you could go back and put him back at middle linebacker because the Seahawks ended up moving him away from that position. Yes, you get 2 first-round picks, and pick 32 might not be all that attractive, might not be all that sexy for a lot of people out there, but Seattle, they're obviously in win-now mode. You can add a defensive end, and without a doubt, the Raiders right now have clear connection with Seattle from their past year with Pete to right now their relationship with Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak. But the Seahawks are clearly trying to win. The Raiders in Seattle got a clear connection, and Tyrice Knight could go back to being that true Mike linebacker for the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you're the silver and black, bingo, you're able to replace Devin White. because you got Devin White, Jamal Adams, and Landon Roberts all getting ready to hit that open market. So if they're all getting ready to hit that open market, then that could tell me, well, how can I go out, maybe get another linebacker? That way I don't have to go out and spend in free agency, because if I'm the Raiders, I would look at adding one linebacker in free agency, and I would try to add a linebacker in the draft as well, and then hope and pray that Tommy Eichenberg, maybe even Cody Lindenberg, can take that next step for the season. If you don't know too much about Tyrice Knight, what's interesting about him is, y'all remember Drake Thomas? Drake Thomas was a UDFA for the Raiders in 2023. I begged the Raiders to keep him. And if you don't believe me, go check out my UDFA grades video. Well, Thomas kind of took Knight's job this past year. But then Knight, I don't really think that they were using Knight the way that he should have been used. And I remember watching him coming out of Texas El Paso. He's a good athlete, but he is a middle linebacker, a Mike linebacker, and we need a green dot. So we get two first, a green dot linebacker. The Seattle Seahawks, unfortunately, they get Maxx Crosby. So Max is going to be the number one conversation from this video. I know it. You guys probably know it too. You guys let me know, where will Crosby play in 2016? What's going to happen is this. Wow, 2016. See, I just need to get a nap. Where will Maxx Crosby play in 2026? You're about to get it with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, scroll on down and let me know. I'm obviously going to hope that Max plays for the Raiders, but there are so many teams that are interested in him. If I was a betting man and a deal ends up going down, I think that these are the top 10 teams most interested. I think you can look at the Rams, the Bears, the Lions, the Seahawks, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Patriots, the Ravens. These would be the teams that I would say would be the most likely to have Maxx Crosby on them in the year of 2026. Let's go to the next trade idea that we're cooking up here on today's show, and it's around the Raiders investing in the edge position. And when I do a lot of these videos, I try to find players that could be on the trade block, and then I also try to buy low because we need to be able to hit a home run on a player or two for us to go to that next spot. So the team I'm trying to hit a home run with, here's the New York Giants. We're going to get former first-round pick Kayvon Thibodeaux, defensive end. The New York Giants get our highest fourth-round pick at 102. The reason why I think that this trade could end up happening is, one, Kayvon Thibodeaux is coming off the worst year that he's had of his career with only 2.5 sacks. But you know what? I look at a player like Kayvon, and I go, how can I replicate that? Well, I also remember Rob Leonard getting the most out of Kayvon Chasen. Kayvon Chasen then gets a brand new deal. He goes over to the New England Patriots, and he has a solid season. If I'm Kayvon Thibodeaux, I'm trying to go to a team that needs an edge rusher that also has people that have experience getting the most out of athletic freaks. And that's exactly what Rob Leonard's been able to do. And Kayvon Thibodeaux has been linked to so many trade rumors for the past season. It's not funny, and that's because the Giants, you got Brian Burns, who's making a lot more money. You just drafted Andre Carter very early in the draft. Abdul Carter. I was going to say, I totally just burgundied that. He's in the final year of his rookie contract, and he's most likely, I will say this, if you're the Raiders and you go out and you get Kayvon Thibodeaux because he's in that final year of his deal, that could mean you're going to have to pay him a little bit of a contract extension. But I think for the Raiders who have money, you go out, you trade that fourth-round pick. Let's say you give him a 2-year extension. I mean, if I got Kayvon Thibodeaux for $15 million for the next 3 seasons, I really don't think that's that bad of an idea at all, because you can't deny that he's an athletic freak. You can't deny it. And then on top of that, you know, Malcolm Kuntz is going to be a free agent. You're trying to replace Charles Snowden. And then again, what you saw Rob Leonard do with Kayvon Chasen. All of those reasons, I would be willing to roll the dice here with Kayvon Thibodeaux, who, again, they also just got a brand new head coach in Harbaugh. I don't think a fourth-round pick is all that crazy to really be thinking about. So coming up next here on the show, another trade idea around another wide receiver one. This time, though, it's going to be on the AFC side. If you don't already know, we are trying to get y'all to join the Sin City Drinking Team. And if you want to get ready for St. Patty's Day, go to chatsports.com/LVGreen. You want to join my drinking team. If you like to bang on the Raiders report, if you want to party Oakland style, and you need a St. Patrick's Day shirt, we're going to wrap all these up in one. Yes, every shirt that you guys get ends up helping this show grow. On the same time, though, it's less than $30, and I never have anything that I can wear on St. Patty's Day. So if you need some brand new Raiders Report gear, if you want to show that you're a part of the Sin City drinking team, then go get yourself a shirt at chatsports.com/LVGreen, which that link is going to be down in the comments. It's going to be down in the description of today's show. I also want to give a big salute to Dean, Orlando, Susan, Joey, and Jesus. Thank you guys always for supporting this show. Thank you for joining the Sin City drinking team. And if anybody else out there, we got a cool feature where I can see who buys. I can't put y'all's last name. I actually don't think that that's legally allowed. But what I want to try to do here is be able to show up and show out for all the people that show up and show out for us here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to a wide receiver one trade ID here from the AFC this time. And I'm looking at Indiana. Well, Indianapolis. How about that? And I'm looking at Michael Pittman Jr., 29-year-old wide receiver. He will be turning 30 this upcoming season. So this is the trade that we have cooked up for Michael Pittman Jr. The reason why I have the Colts receiving 2 picks at 134 and 184, 4th and a 6th, is because Indianapolis, I think that they thought that they were going to be a team really competing for the playoffs. They gave away 2 first-round picks last season for Sauce Gardner. So because they gave away some draft capital, maybe they could be looking to add a little bit of extra draft capital on top of that. If you're wondering, why would the Colts trade Michael Pittman Jr. to the Las Vegas Raiders? I got a few reasons. The first, well, Pittman is in the final year of his deal, and if you don't plan on extending him, if I'm Michael Pittman, I'm looking for a brand new deal this year, and a trade to the Raiders tells me that I'm going to spend my final 2 to 3, 4 years in the NFL with the silver and black. On top of that, if I'm the Colts, I probably have to pick between Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Don't think it makes sense to give both of those players long-term deals right now where this organization is at. So because of this team, I think, could be looking for extra draft capital, and I think because they're going to be picking between Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce, if I'm the Raiders, I'm serious when I say this, John Spytek, Tom Brady, Clint Kubiak, I'm calling up Indy, and I'm going, are you interested in shipping me Michael Pittman Jr.? If the answer to that is yes, well, then that tells me that they might be interested in Alec Pierce a little bit more. If the answer to that question is no, well, then maybe I can get ready to go out and get Pierce this offseason, because what I need is a receiver that I can rely on. And I was very upset when the Raiders let Jacoby Myers go out the door. Here's a way that you can right your wrongs and bring in a player that might not be a true number 1, but damn it, he's a good number 2, just like Jacoby was. Let's go to the final trade idea here on today's show, and we're going to be looking for a backup quarterback, and we're trading for Vikings quarterback JJ McCarthy. Now, I'll be real with you. I got no idea what JJ McCarthy's value is, because it really comes down to what is his value to his own team, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the old GM, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, he ended up getting fired this offseason. There was some reports about him and Kevin O'Connell maybe not seeing eye to eye, and I don't blame Minnesota, right? Like, they kept this guy, McCarthy, over Sam Darnold, who just won a Super Bowl, and that was probably a tough pill to swallow. But there was a report that came out a few weeks ago that the Raiders were interested and apparently close to making a trade for McCarthy last offseason, which I actually talked about briefly on this show, that I had a source tell me that, yes, there was interest in McCarthy. And if you're the Raiders, you know that you have to add another quarterback this offseason. Somebody else, not just named Fernando Mendoza, because Aiden O'Connell, only guy on the roster. Kenny Pickett, free agent. Geno Smith, you're going to be moving on from him. So I do wonder if Minnesota could potentially split. And then if you're the Raiders, you take on JJ McCarthy. You have Aiden O'Connell, who you know can be a good backup. McCarthy learns for 2 to 3 years with Tom Brady. McCarthy and Brady are very close from their days at Michigan. But you let McCarthy learn. And you let him learn, and you let him learn, and you let him learn. And then, who knows, maybe you could trade him away and you get more draft capital. Or maybe he actually turns into being a good quarterback, because there were times last season that you saw McCarthy look good. And then there was other times you're like, yeah, this guy's not very good. But bottom line is this. I know that the Raiders at one point almost traded for McCarthy. So if you were willing to get him at a cheap offer, who knows? Maybe you could decide to bring him in. So I showed you guys 5 different trade ideas. All I'm going to ask is, which trade is your favorite? If it was this one with the Bears and the Raiders, type 1. If it's the one with the Seahawks and Max going, then type 2. What about the New York Giants trade here? Type 3. For the Colts and Michael Pittman Jr., type 4. And then the final trade with JJ McCarthy, I want you to type 5. For me personally, my favorite trade out of all the ones that I showed you today, the one that I think makes the most sense for the Raiders and the one that I think is just the best for what we need right away for this organization, I'm going to say it's the Michael Pittman Jr. trade where we're giving up a fourth, we're giving up a sixth, and we're still keeping those earlier fourths in case we want to trade up into 3 and into 2. This gives us a receiver. This gives us a good receiver that also is going to be able to fit into our offense and help Fernando Mendoza right away.